Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Michigan Speedway. I am Peter Short, and alongside me is Garrett Gleason. It is round number 9 of the Schue's Lawn Care Service Cup Series here in the Total Nonstop Racing. And here today we have the World Ninja League 180 for all you folks back home. Hopefully we don't see any drivers doing any 180s here tonight, Garrett, but I'll tell you what, this racetrack looks pretty slippery here in practice.
Yeah, Peter, it's great to be back with you here on 3Y TV, and these guys always ask me for a hot, slick track, and I might have overdone it a bit this week, Peter. Although I did put random weather in. These guys told me there's some wind out of 2, reminding them of those hurricane force winds I gave them when they were down in Miami. But these Total Nonstop Racing Schue's Cup Series drivers could handle this track in this condition. And a track like Michigan, Peter, it's big, it's wide, you get some clean air, and I think these guys are going to be able to put on quite the show, make some passes, and have a fun race.
Yeah, I think so as well. It is definitely going to be, I think, one of the best races that we have all season long. This version of this racetrack, this is the older Michigan for all you folks at home. This is one of the racier tracks, in my opinion, in the iRacing.com Motorsports Simulator, just for the fact that, over time your tires wear out and you can really save your tires here. Backup entry into the corners. The line is very important, and we'll see a couple of different lines in full effect here tonight. Let's see very quickly if we can bring up our pre-race graphic here, Garrett. And 2 Mile Oval, it did have 2 sister racetracks over the years. One of those was Texas World Speedway, the other one California Speedway. Now, interestingly enough, only Michigan Speedway remains in a 2 mile configuration. Texas World Speedway was demolished. That is now very much not a speedway anymore. It is now a housing development, sadly. And then California Speedway's turned it into a short track. So kind of wild that Michigan International Speedway remains the only 2 miler left kind of on the calendar. But that's what makes this racetrack now at least a little bit more unique than it used to be.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique track, and it's sad to see California, Auto Club California, go the way of a short track now, Peter. Never had the opportunity with Texas World Speedway there, but we're at Michigan. You never know what NASCAR could do, Peter. They could take this track away in an instant like they did another fun track, Chicagoland. So we have it here on iRacing, and these guys should appreciate being able to run here and all that this track allows them to do. Like you said, it's one of the more racy tracks, racy versions of this track, and if these guys could handle these track conditions, they're going to put on a heck of a show, like I said earlier. But it's almost time for qualifying. I think we'll see what these guys have. I think a lot of drafting happened in practice, and now these single car runs, we might have a surprise pole winner.
Yeah, Tom Bourne, the number 16 machine, fastest of all here in practice. Bronson Stafford in second. Floppy Tellier in third. You're looking at Chuck Sweeting, who was all the way down in 8th on the scoring pylon. As you see, the qualifying session, or practice session rather, wrapping up. We'll move over here quickly to qualifying. There we go. Bring up that qualifying graphic there on the left-hand side of your screen. Let's see if we can go for a ride around this racetrack with one of the drivers working their way up onto the racing surface here momentarily. Here we go. On board with Bill Edwards in the Silent Syndicate racing machine. Now, Garrett, we were not able to be here on 3Y TV last week, unfortunately. I think last week it was going to be Knock Hill, but then a lot of people ended up not having it. So unfortunately, we decided to not have the race at Knock Hill, but move it to Iowa Speedway. And Tom Bourne, fastest in practice, ended up going to victory lane. And this driver that we ride on board with finished in second last week.
Yeah, Tom pretty much dominated that race, Peter. But Bill certainly had some speed in this number 5 S2R machine. And I think we're going to see what he has here in qualifying. Bill's building that momentum, Peter. We always talked about Bill as being Mr. Consistency. He gets those podium finishes, those top 5s, and he's just consistent all season long. And I think he's starting to get to that point, Peter, where he's starting to run third, second. Now it's time to get this number 5 in victory lane. And I think Bill wants nothing more than to finally achieve that this season. I mean, we've had some different winners, but we've also had some repeat winners. But somebody like Bill Edwards, I think, might be the next guy to burst through that bubble and get himself into victory lane.
Yeah, we're riding on board right now with Bill Edwards with kind of the new fancy thing that we have here on 3Y TV. We have cameras that we can move around, and you can kind of ride on board with them. So kind of fun to see that. Hopefully we'll be able to use that in full effects here tonight. Here is Jason Schue in the number 3 machine as starting to see some drivers put lap times in. Matthew Rodriguez, top of the chart so far in the number 57. Chuck Sweeting rolls into second. Bill Edwards back to fourth now. Brandon Buchwald in fifth. And Jason Schue right here on your screen, currently 6 out of the 6 drivers to put those times in. There's Buchwald in the Tim Hortons machine, one of our 3 Canadian drivers in the field here tonight. Mike Floppy Tellier, Brandon Buchwald, and Bronson Stafford with the Maple Leafs on their car as we see some more lap times trickling. There's Vincent Valvano there, Garrett, currently riding in fourth. Good lap out of the Talking Giants machine as Chuck Sweeting jumps to the top of the board.
Wow, that was like rapid fire, Peter. Philip Scott got to the top of the board, and then pretty much instantly Chuck Sweeting takes over. No surprise to see the number 99 fastest here at Michigan. This is his home track. He's sponsoring the race on behalf of the World Ninja League. So Philip wants this pole. He wants to win this race. And how about Matthew Rodriguez, though, being up there on top of the charts there for a couple seconds? Every time he shows up, it's like he has that Michael Waltrip Racing jet fuel in his motor. Goes right to the front and then runs at the front for a while and then usually ends up either wrecking or getting involved in somebody else's mess. But it's nice to see these guys here tonight. And Peter, right now, looking at these qualifying times, I'm not sure I could really pick a favorite out. It's going to be quite the scramble once we go green.
Yeah, here is the fastest driver in practice, Tom Bourne, coming to the line. We'll see where this puts the number 16 machine up into fourth. Not sure why all the names are showing as grayed out there on the left-hand side of your screen. Oh, there we go. They're back. Live timing and scoring doing funky things as Bronson Stafford decided to try and visit victory lane. There's still a minute 30 left here in qualifying, but to be fair to Bronson Stafford, all but 2 drivers, and one of those is you, Garrett. Robert Tripp is, I guess, the only driver yet to put a lap time in, so sure enough, does look like Bronson Stafford will be on the pole. Jonathan Gaston, though, coming around out of turn number 3 and 4, he's going to try and well, you know, I was going to say about to try and dethrone, but the huge slide, great save out of the number 72. That is going to thwart any chance he had at dethroning Bronson Stafford from top of the charts. Didn't look like his second lap was going to be any faster than his first lap anyway. Ran a 19.7 in the first sector. That was about a 10th off of Bronson Stafford, so he would have really had to pick it up in the back half of the track. Just does not look like that would have been possible. So fifth spot, a good qualifying run inside the top 10 here, Garrett, as we got 35 seconds left. And sure enough, looks like Bronson Stafford, Chuck Sweeting will be our front row with pretty much identical lap time, separating by just a few 1,000ths of a second.
This is a couple times we've seen this, Peter, here on 3Y TV. Guys matching lap times up near the front of the field. The top 2 are the same. The third and fourth place cars are the same. That just proves how talented these guys are and how close and competitive our fields are here in Total Non-Stop Racing. And if anybody's out there watching and wanting to race with us, please come join us. Our car counts are down a little bit this season, but the racing has been fantastic. A lot of green flag runs. And actually, piggybacking off of that, I was asked by our on-track administrator, Floppy, to extend this race from 150 miles to 180 miles, let these guys run a little more under green, and give them a little bit more fuel, put some strategy into play.
Yeah, definitely going to be fun to see that all sort out as the night goes on, as we're waiting for some of these drivers. Well, I thought drivers were going to be appearing right there, but no, they don't. They appear on the front stretch. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's starting lineup for everyone at home. Starting on the pole, like we mentioned, Bronson Stafford, 39.467, just 1/1000th of a second faster than Chuck Sweeting. I mean, that is absolutely so impressive right up at the front of the field. Philip Scott will be starting on the inside of row number 3, just 0.005 of a second off. Tom Bourne, 0.008 of a second off Bronson Stafford's lap. I mean, that's unbelievable to have less than 100th of a second separate our top 4 drivers. Behind Tom Bourne, you have Jonathan Gaston there in 5th. He was over 1/10 of a second behind. So to have our top 4 separated by just 100th, it's so incredible. Matthew Rodriguez there in 6th. He'll be on the outside of row number 3. Bill Edwards on the inside of row number 4 with Mike Floppy Tellier joining him alongside. Vincent Valvano and Matt Muir rounding out our top 10. And just to take you through the rest of the 13 drivers to start here, or 14 drivers rather, Jamar Dumas, Brandon Buchwald in 11th and 12th. Jason Schue and Robert Tripp will be our 14 cars as the pace car gets rolling.
Yeah, Peter, it's a small field, but I think a pretty stacked field. And I'm here rooting for an underdog win. I want to see some kind of funky strategy, running out of gas on the last lap, and like our buddy Jason Schue pulling off the win. That's what I need to see. And oh my goodness, Peter, you couldn't have picked a better looking driver, could you? You scared me to death there.
Yeah, that's the intoxicated gaming helmet of Mike Floppy Tellier right there on your screen. There is the crash dummy, Bill Edwards. He's crashed a couple of times in his life. Good looking helmet there to Vincent Valvon. That's a more realistic looking helmet there, Garrett. Matt Moyer with kind of a more basic helmet, but I like the color scheme on that. Brandon Buchwald. Not sure what it says on the side of that helmet. Maybe we can get kind of the gyro cam. Here we go. Let's see if we can spin the gyro cam around because, you know, we can do that type of thing, which is mighty impressive. There we go. There's something. Well, I don't know what it says. Oh, you know what that is? That is the Simpsons hit and run. That is what that is. He's got Simpsons hit and run on that helmet. I'd love to see that. I'm 90% sure that's what that is. So kind of cool to see the different helmets that we have. I felt like, Garrett, someone in here in the field is going to have to have some type of inappropriate one at some point. I wouldn't be at all surprised if that happens, and if so, I do apologize. But hey, we're about to go green here as the pace car pulls off, and we're getting set to go green.
You're ready to go green, Peter. And just to go back to that, if Jason Gracias was in the field, you know he'd be messing with us and have some kind of inappropriate bodysuit or something on. But here we go, 180 miles here at Michigan, and we're off and running.
Green flag in the air for the 180 miles that we have on hand here at the 2-mile Michigan International Speedway. Out front, Bronson Stafford from the pole, Chuck Sweeting in second, then Philip Scott and Tom Bourne, our top four, are running as they qualified. But Tom Bourne looking to the outside, last week's race winner at the Iowa Speedway in that number 16. Garrett, you said absolutely lights out performance by that Ford Fusion. Only one caution last week. Not sure what that caution was for, but that just kind of shows that our caution count has been down. Hopefully that's not the kiss of death. Hopefully we don't have like 10 cautions or something like that here tonight. That would be the commentator's curse. But only one caution last week. This week we hope to do one better than that and stay green flag all the way to the end as Tom Bourne has a look to the inside here in turn number 1 and 2. Let's see if we can look to the outside. There is Philip Scott. You get a look inside the World Ninja League machine. Of course, as you said, Garrett, it is the World Ninja League 180 here tonight, so we'll see if we can bring up that graphic up there at the top of your screen, as it looks like now Tom Bourne can set his sights on the next two cars in front of him.
Yeah, Peter, just to go last week, I was the one that brought out the caution flag, so I'm glad you brought that up. It made me laugh and also feel bad about my racing career. But here's what we're looking at here, Peter. We have the guy on the bottom, the shortest way around the track, and the guy up top has the longest way around the track, but he gets the most momentum. And right now, a very impressive pass from my perspective by the 16 there and the 99. I would think that Philip Scott would have the momentum to be able to keep that position, but looks like he's going to tuck in line here and push the 16 down the straightaway. And that 16 car looks very fast early on.
Yeah, trying to pick up right where he left off last week. Here comes Philip Scott looking to the inside of Chuck Sweeting all the way down to the white line. It is the shortest way around the racetrack. Sometimes it burns out your tires. I've always kind of felt like that, maybe not the bottom line at this racetrack, but kind of like one groove up or so has always been my favorite line to run around here to save tires. But right there, Philip Scott showing that, hey, my tires are nice and fresh. As Tom Bourne up at the front of the field, he's saying that his tires are nice and fresh. He gets out front with the pass on Bronson Stafford, and we have a new race leader for the first time here tonight. And now Bronson Stafford says, hey, buddy, not so fast. I'm going to have a look back to the inside. They might go through, or too wide rather, as they head off into the corner. A couple of Ford Fusions duking it out at the front of the field. And you have to think, Garrett, back to kind of the late 2000s, mid to late 2000s, when these Ford Fusions were out here running. And I know the Roush Ford Fusions were always kind of a force to be reckoned with here. Same thing with the Hendrick Chevrolets. You always wanted to have kind of the best engine for this racetrack, with, of course, Michigan International Speedway being so close to Detroit, which is the home of Ford and GM and all of that stuff. Is this battle for the race lead? They keep flip-flopping back and forth. Now Tom Bourne finally able to get clear of Bronson Stafford, who's now under fire from the number 99, Philip Scott, and Chuck Sweeting's going to be looking on behind these two, just to figure out which one to go with, maybe saving his tires just a little bit. Here we go, on board with Chuck, with that good look of these two side by side in front of him.
Yeah, these guys are having fun out there, Peter. I was a little nervous watching practice, but they're putting on a good show. Tom Bourne ends up getting to the lead there. Philip Scott trying to follow him through. And like you said, Chuck, we've seen Chuck, and I don't believe for a second that Chuck cannot pass these guys because he is so fast every single week and just makes it look so easy out there. I'm going to what you said. I think he's probably saving a little bit of tires, seeing what everybody else has. It's a longer race by 30 miles. No need to use up your stuff early on, put yourself in a compromising position, but Chuck's a veteran, smart race car driver, talented race car driver, and I'm watching my buddy Jamar there. Jamar was giving me the business during practice. They didn't like the way the cars or track were handling. It looks like he's running. Is that not his vehicle there, Peter? I might be talking about the wrong vehicle.
Yeah, we have too many Texaco Haviland Dodges in the field here tonight. This is actually Matthew Rodriguez up on the high side now of the World Ninja League number 99 machine. Want to give a shout out to World Ninja League just joining us in the chat as Philip finds himself in the bottom side of 3 wide. Bill Edwards there in the middle. Matthew Rodriguez flirting with the outside wall and not flirting anymore, getting a little kiss of it. Maybe a little bit more than a kiss right there. Might have made it past second base, not sure. But
I was going to use the same joke, I swear. You got me.
So Matthew Rodriguez starting to fall back here into the clutches of Floppy Tellier and Brandon Buchwald, as Buchwald might be about to find the same fate. No, he doesn't. Good job. Keeps it off the wall. As we'll see if any of that extracurricular activities in turn number 3 and 4 hurts the pace of Rodriguez as he does battle with his good buddy there, Mike Floppy Tellier. But up at the front of the field, still Tom Bourne. Chuck Sweeting's actually got around Bronson Stafford. Let's see if we can go back on the 3-wide TV replay and see exactly how Chuck was able to make this pass on board. Ooh, look at the 61 there. Garrett get loose off of the corner and get side by side with the number 61 off into turn number 3 and 4. And just like that, able to make that pass. So a good look there on the 3-wide TV replay of the pass for the second position. We're back live. There is your race leader, about a half-second lead. And Garrett, I have to say, this has been a fantastic start to tonight's race.
Yeah, I'm loving the action out there, Peter. And we saw there with Chuck Sweeting making the pass on Bronson Stafford, where our broadcast partner Bob always talks about momentum, Big Mo. And you saw once that 61 lost momentum at a horsepower track here, like Michigan, you're just at the mercy of the guy behind you. And these guys will stay within each other's tire tracks, try to get a little bit of fresh air, just be there and ready to pounce when the opportunity presents itself. I mean, you see these guys are going to get a little bit spaced out, but if you're that close and somebody makes a mistake, you have to be able to capitalize. It looks like he's looking for an even shorter route there in the 61.
Yeah, we saw Bronson Stafford get loose about 2 or 3 laps ago, lost the second spot, and now look at Chuck Sweeting. Chuck has actually been mowing down our race leader, Tom Bourne here, working lap number 10. Garrett, I can't remember. I can go look at my notes, but we do have one stage here tonight, and I think it is coming on lap number, or two stages rather, lap number 20 and lap number 50. So
Correct.
We're about halfway here through the first stage, and we'll be paying out points to the top 8 finishers. Chuck Sweeting here looking pretty fast, saving his stuff. We talked about that. But it also just seems really slippery out there, and maybe some of the drivers, we saw Philip Scott struggle maybe a little bit. We saw Matthew Rodriguez struggle a little bit. A good place to save some tire, and I think that's what Chuck's doing here.
Yeah, if Chuck Sweeting's doing something out there, I don't want to spoil this for the rest of the competitors, but you should probably be doing the same thing because he's been that successful. But we can't take anything away from any of these guys up here in the front of the field. Tom Bourne's won races. Bronson Stafford's won races. Bill should win races, but let's just hope he doesn't, because I don't want to say anything nice about him.
Did you just see what Chuck Sweeting did there in turn number 1 and 2? I don't know, Garrett, if he really backed up the corner, but he seemed to lose quite a bit of ground on entry into turn number 1 and 2. He might be backing up. Oh, now he's pushing up the racetrack a little bit. Maybe Chuck's handling. I've just been singing all these praises, but all of a sudden it seems like the number 75 is going in the wrong direction. That last time by was definitely off the pace. Maybe he's trying to search around for just a little bit of grip. There you see the graphic. Last time by, Chuck about a half-second slower than Tom Bourne. So maybe I'll just have to be quiet up here in the booth. I think maybe Chuck will want that. Let's look a little bit further back in the pack, though. This is a battle between Jamar Dumas, who's in the Texaco Haviland Ford, then the number 47 of Mike Floppy Tellier, and Brandon Buchwald in the number 96 behind him. So a couple of Canadians duking it out with Jamar Dumas. And like I said, Garrett, we have a couple of Texaco Haviland machines. This one is the Ford. The other one's of the Dodge variety. But it seems right now that the Dodge has the edge on the Ford as they run, just inside the top 10. And more importantly, Garrett, this is one spot outside of the bonus point positions when we get to that stage here at the end of lap number 20. No caution, remember. They do rolling stages here in Total Nonstop Racing League.
Yeah, Peter, rolling stages has been kind of a difference maker. We see some different strategies with that, and like I said, we added a little bit of a fuel load for these guys this week, so I'm assuming they could get past the stage break, but we're going to learn together what the fuel mileage is, Peter. I was not able to talk to anyone about this pre-race, so we're all going to learn together and see when these guys pit, and then we'll be able to kind of figure it out from there. But I think you want to get the stage points. We see the battle in NASCAR in real life, how these guys are fighting to get in the playoffs, and every point matters. And it's no different here in TNR. You want to be locked in. You don't want to be fighting for your life late in the season. These guys have put their time in. They show up every week, and you want to be in that top 8 and not have to go to the last chance qualifier because you did something wrong or you made a mistake, you missed out on one bonus point, or you blew pit strategy. I mean, it all matters, and these guys know it matters. So I think we'll see a battle here for 8th if they could try to catch Vinny here. But I'm hoping my buddy Vinny holds on that Talking Giants machine. I don't know if anybody caught the Giants preseason game, but Daniel Jones and Darren Waller looks like a deadly combination. So tune in to Talking Giants and hear more about that.
Garrett, don't get your hopes up. It is only preseason football. You know, anything can happen after you get past preseason. But you're talking like a true Giants fan there. As Tom Bourne coming out of turn number 2 with a little bit of a wiggle. You see Chuck Sweeting has run him down again as we close in about 4.5 laps away from the end of stage number 1. We'll stay green flag. Now, Garrett, I kind of been doing the math in my head a little bit. I think these drivers, I think they can make it to lap number 30, but I think they can just barely make it to lap number 30. I would not be at all surprised if they come down and pit before then, but if they can make it to lap number 30, that'd be good because they can make it on just 2 stops. So we'll see whether or not that happens. Ooh, a little bit of smoke there coming out of turn number 2, and I think we have the 3-wide TV replay dialed up to see what happened here. Here on board with Robert Tripp, and coming out of turn number 2, Garrett just got loose and couldn't corral it. That's the inside wall, and night done for Robert Tripp. That's not going to bring out the caution flag. However, let's see if we can go let's see if we can go on board with Robert Tripp for this 3-wide TV replay again, and how quickly it got away from him. It looked like everything was okay, and then all of a sudden it was not okay as he impacts the inside wall.
Yeah, it's a tough break for Robert, rocking the TNR paint scheme and just out there trying to run laps, get better every week. He's fun to race around, and this is just a tough break. Michigan's not going to be his favorite track, especially after that happened. I think you lose the handle on it. You get behind in your steering, and you're along for the ride there. And if Matthew Rodriguez got the second base, I'm pretty sure Robert Tripp is going to be producing another child like the Johnny Williams family.
Yeah, Johnny Williams this week letting us know that has another grandkid. And that's where Johnny is here tonight. Meanwhile, he's in the chat saying good luck all and hello to the booth, Johnny. Hello. Bob Giaquinto has also joined us in the chat. Bob, not out there on the racetrack, saying, I wish I could be out there tonight camping out at my girlfriend's while we renovate my bathroom at home. Well, enjoy the renovation. Enjoy the new bathroom. Enjoy the new porcelain throne when you get that, Bob. As you see right now, our race leader is putting Jonathan Gaston 1 lap down. Now, interestingly enough, the number 72 has already made 1 pit stop here. I don't know if that was a forced pit stop or not. Does appear that Gaston did stay in his pit box, currently sitting 2 laps down. So not sure exactly what happened, but something brought the 72 onto pit lane.
Peter, there's a battle for 8th, that final bonus point. Floppy just made the pass on Vinny there as we're coming to the stage not break, the rolling stage break, as we would say. But these guys are battling, like you said. You called it earlier. These guys are going to battle for that last point, and you kind of focused on where the battle would be here around 8th position. But looks like the 47 of Floppy has the advantage, and Vinny did a heck of a job, though. That was some good speed out of the 64. He's been having some bad luck and some rough outings, so it's good to see. But it looks like we have a battle for the lead as we get to the stage break. It looks like Tom Bourne won that stage, but Chuck Sweeting is letting everybody know that we were panicking when he was losing time, but he's back to where he usually is, right up at the front.
Yeah, just missed out ever so slightly on the stage win there as they went to the line. Does look like Floppy was the one who picked up the 8th place points. Matthew Rodriguez in 7th, Matt Muir in 6th, Philip Scott still down in 5th, and then solidly Bill Edwards in 4th, trying to run down our top couple. We do have the Windsors in the chat, always rooting on Bill Edwards. So Windsors, hello, how are you all doing tonight? I think, so the Windsors folks, if you haven't watched here on 3Y TV, they are the parents of this band right here. Now, if I was the mom, I would hope that, my son would be dressed up in all the safety gear and all that. Well, I think Bill Edwards has the crash dummy. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that he has the crash dummy helmet on, but he does have the crash dummy helmet on. So, how does that make you feel, the Windsors? Maybe questioning Bill's choices of helmet, but it puts a good chuckle in all the folks watching, I'm sure. As you see out front, Bill Edwards, and he's kind of in a good spot here, Garrett. I mean, he's not too far behind Tom Bourne. You see that battle now breaking out for the race lead. Let's see if we can ride on board with Chuck Sweeting here. Look out the right-hand side. There you see your race leader, but your race leader for how much longer? We'll find out as Chuck was going to go on by, but 16 gets a good run through the corner, and there we go. Maybe we'll get the look, as it looks like Sweeting's pulling ahead just a little bit as they come to the line, and sure enough, Chuck Sweeting will lead lap number 23.
Yeah, it's not that the pass is over yet, but that's a very impressive pass from where I'm sitting. But 16's going to drive in deep on the outside, see if that momentum could carry. But these guys are making these passes on that middle groove, or whatever you want to call it. I'm very impressed by it. It just shows that these guys are talented and have the speed, but we saw the advantage there in turns 1 and 2 that Tom Bourne was able to pull away. But we'll see if Chuck has anything for him here in 3 and 4 with this lower groove.
It doesn't look like it just yet, as he wasn't quite able to clear Tom Bourne. We think they're probably closing in on pit stops here in the next 5 to 10 laps. We do have some other actually takers on pit road. That's Bronson Stafford on pit road. I think Jason Schue came down on pit road on lap number 21. So the number 3 has made his first pit stop. Oh, looks like some more takers on pit road. Here comes Philip Scott in the number 99. I think a little bit early. Usually Philip Scott, Garrett, is one of those that likes to kind of run long. Matt Muir also coming down onto pit lane in his machine. That's Matthew Rodriguez in the Texaco Haviland Dodge. I always used to like, Matt Muir missed his pit stall. That's going to be costly for the 77. Well, I was about to say, I always liked the way that Juan Pablo Montoya used to say Texaco Haviland Dodge. I always liked that. He kind of just threw it all out there, all in like a single syllable, and merged all the words together as our race leaders are coming down on pit road. So I guess a little bit shy of that lap number 30 mark here tonight, Garrett. Maybe a bit surprised with that, but it is what it is. As Tom Bourne, Chuck Sweeting go into their pit box. You don't want to make a mistake here. It looks like both of those drivers doing a good job. I think Tom Bourne did maybe a little bit better getting into his pit box, as a couple of other people a little bit more gingerly there up at the top of the screen. We'll see if these drivers get down and away here momentarily. Tom Bourne is down and away. There goes Chuck Sweeting as well. And whoa, Chuck Sweeting trying to race for the lead up off. Not able to do it. They pretty much stay exactly right where they were.
That was exciting, Peter. And thinking just real quick, going back to your Juan Pablo Montoya comment, I think guys like Juan Pablo, Marcos Ambrose, they would be great in today's NASCAR. Extra road courses, the way the cars drive. I think they kind of missed the opportunity that SVG is getting now with Trackhouse, the couple races he had. I think those guys would have been very successful. But going back to our pit strategy, Peter, if these guys could have made it to lap 30, it would have been a whole different ball game. And I think where we saw them stop just now, that proved that nobody was even close to making it and trying it. So Bronson Stafford still on track. Looked like Philip Scott got a bit of an advantage by short pitting those other couple guys, but Tom Bourne and Chuck Sweeting are not letting each other out of each other's sights. So we'll see where they all shuffle up here. But this extra fuel mileage could be an advantage for the 61 if this thing continues to go green.
Yeah, so if you kind of project off into the future, your race leaders, Tom Bourne, Chuck Sweeting, made it to lap number 25. If you go another 25, that'll make you to lap number 50, which, interestingly enough, Garrett, lap number 50 is when we get the end of stage number 2. So there's a possibility you might be seeing drivers coming down pit road to win the stage, which would be a bit surprising, in all honesty, but that might very well happen here in about 22, 23 laps from right now. So keep that in the back of our minds as we close in on the end of stage number 2. Again, we'll have rolling stages, no cautions for stages here in the Total Nonstop Racing Shoes Lawn Care Service Cup Series. We want to welcome you if you're just now tuning in to the World Ninja League 180. We've had the World Ninja League in the chat. Make sure you check them out. If you've seen American Ninja Warrior, well, think World Ninja Warrior in the World Ninja League. And Philip Scott, the number 99, you see it there on the left-hand side of your screen, sporting the World Ninja look on his Dodge Intrepid right there, throwing it back to when the Intrepid was a thing. Garrett, I never was a big fan of the Intrepid as just a car, a road car, but I always liked the way the Intrepid body looked in NASCAR. I don't know, something about that front end just seemed a bit crazy, a bit wild, and made it look like a race car.
I agree with that, Peter. I was never you're right. The road cars were ugly, for lack of a more polite phrase. But the NASCARs, you're right. They just looked fast, especially at a place here like Michigan. They just looked like they belonged. And Philip Scott certainly looks like he belongs there in the Dodge. Although it's a bit hard for me to picture him in the Dodge because he's raced Ford so consistently with that number 99 for our first however many seasons he's been with us. So it's good to see him changing it up a bit off his championship season last year in the World Ninja League number 99. So thank you to World Ninja League. Thank you to Phil Scott for being part of our league. And wow, these guys are having quite the battle up towards the front here. But Bronson Stafford still out, Peter, on the same strategy, correct?
He pitted 2 laps before Tom Bourne and Chuck Sweeting. So it's crazy to think just how much 2-lap fresher tires can do. Because he's got himself out to a 3.5-second lead. Now, Tom Bourne and Chuck Sweeting are catching Bronson Stafford, and we'll see what that gap kind of looks like over the last 5 laps. You see pretty steady gains by Tom Bourne on Stafford, about a full second over the last 5 laps, 0.2 a lap or so. So that would really get, if they can kind of keep that momentum going, that would get, interestingly, Tom Bourne and Chuck Sweeting to Bronson Stafford about 2 laps before the stage end. So that will be interesting to see if that same trend kind of continues throughout this run. Otherwise, we might be singing the praises of Bronson Stafford, that his undercut that he did was a genius maneuver for the Hugger Orange's Ford Fusion. Maybe not. We'll see how it pans out. Let's look a little bit further back in the pack. Here is a battle for position. This is between Vincent Valvano and Jamar Dumas. Meanwhile, up in front of these two, Matthew Rodriguez and Matt Muir, the couple of the Mats racing together out there on the racetrack as Muir tries to get around Rodriguez, and looks like he has made that pass stick, at least for now. Go back to a couple of Fords duking it out, Vincent Valvano and Jamar Dumas. Looks like, at least for right now, Vinny has the advantage as he tries to pull away. Meanwhile, up in front, just looking to see if there's any tire differences between any of these drivers. Matt Muir and Matt Rodriguez both pitted on lap number 24. So equal tires on these two as they get a little bit loosey-goosey in the middle of turn number 3 and 4, and that's going to give that spot back to Matthew Rodriguez.
These guys are having fun out there, Peter. I love to see this. They're racing, they're confident, and being a little bit aggressive, which is always good for our broadcast. And I apologize to Bronson Stafford, Peter. I thought he was on some sort of different strategy because his lead was so big. Did not realize the undercut was that beneficial. Doing that in the first stage, though, you're tipping your hand for the rest of the race. And now I think all these guys are gonna know that they're gonna get a 4 or 5 second lead if they undercut this just right from the right track position.
Well, here is an interesting graphic. I was kind of saying that, you know what, it's been kind of gaining about 0.2 of a second per lap. Well, that graphic's broken. That graphic is broken. No wonder it's looking about 0.2 of a second a lap. I don't know why that graphic is broken. Let me try something a little bit different and see if the graphic works. Let's try it again. And the graphic's still broken. So I don't know. So we'll bring up this graphic instead. This graphic is not broken. Bronson Stafford and Tom Bourne. You can see, Garrett, I was saying about 0.2 of a lap. Well, it's actually now on the order of 0.4 of a second per lap. We'll see what the difference is this time by. And Tom Bourne, that last time about 3.5 tenths faster. So averaging about maybe just over 0.4 of a second per lap. So Tom Bourne and Chuck Sweeting will be on the back bumper of Bronson Stafford here, probably in about 3 or 4 laps.
Yeah, the draft is probably helping those two guys, Peter, as well. If they're running, pushing each other forward, getting closer to the 61, we'll see once they get there if it's an easy pass or if they stall out in the little bit dirtier air. Or it could be beneficial to the 61 as well, be able to hold those guys off and maybe tuck in behind them and regroup. But our buddy Vinny and our friend Jamar can't seem to get away from each other, having a good battle here for the 9th and 10th position. And I think for these two guys, just looking for a solid run all the laps and not get involved in anyone else's mess. And I think get some momentum heading into next week would be a good thing for these guys.
And look at the line these two drivers are running right up there on the top side of the racetrack as you see them just crack over the double century mark there, 200 miles an hour heading off in towards turn number 1 on board with the number 28 machine. But two very distinct lines being run around the racetrack, and that's, I think, going to give Jamar a little bit of an advantage here as we head down the backstretch.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. Jamar making that pass. It looked like it's going to look easy. We'll see if Vinny has anything from on the outside, but I think he timed that one pretty much perfectly, and if he wants to pull up and do a little bit of a slide, I think he'll be able to hold this position. But a great battle, and it just proves that even deeper in the field, you could have some fun, have a good battle out there, and just you're kind of learning back there, like you said, Peter, running different lines, just seeing what works. You never know. You get a late caution, you could get yourself from running 10th to up near the top 5 with a little bit of luck. So for these guys that are back there, don't get discouraged. Just keep getting better every single lap. And I've been trying to do that for years. I just don't seem to ever get any better. But the thought process is there.
The thought process is there. Don't think anything else is there with you, Garrett. But the thought process is there. That's for sure. As just have to remind you, you did cause the only caution last week at Iowa. But we weren't there to broadcast it, so it's kind of like, if a tree fell in the woods and no one saw it, did it really happen? I don't know. We could just be making up things. But up at the front of the field, starting to get a little bit racy between our top 3. Bronson Stafford has been caught by Tom Bourne and Chuck Sweeting about another 0.2 back. So these two lockstep with one another so far as Stafford really hangs it out there in turn number 4. And that is going to give Tom Bourne a run to the inside. Now can Chuck Sweeting take advantage of this and maybe get the better of them both all in one corner as like Bourne to the inside, Stafford on the outside. Couple of Ford Fusions. Now Stafford trying to do the old over-under. Cut back underneath as you see. That's Jason Schue in the number 3 peeling up onto the racetrack here. That's his second pit stop. No, I take that back. I thought maybe he was just rolling off pit road. I apologize. He pitted on lap number 21, so he's on older tires than this lot. That's why he looks kind of off the pace. He is still running on the lead lap, however, is here comes Chuck Sweeting as there, Garrett. Bronson Stafford really struggling out of turn number 4 again.
Peter, this is tremendous racing, and wow, how could you not watch this and not want to come join us here at TNR in the Schue Cup Series? These guys, they make it look so simple. These guys are on the edge with these cars. You can see, I saw there Bronson was just pretty much hanging it sideways the entire time. Chuck looking to capitalize and take position. Man, Tom Bourne, very impressive that he's able to hold Chuck Sweeting off. And I mean, it's not obviously over yet, Peter. We're not even at halfway, but I'm learning a lot from these guys, and they're making it look so much fun out there. I'm very jealous. And usually I'm jealous of being up here in the booth with you and when Bob would be up here in the nice food spread. But these guys are having the life out there.
Yeah, they're definitely having a good race. As we're coming in actually on the halfway mark in about 4 laps time. It's Matt Rodriguez kind of jumping back and forth, trying to stay in front of Matt Muir. The battle of the mats. Looks like Muir's going to take it for right now in his Hugger Orange. Ooh, Matthew Rodriguez down below the yellow line. That's pretty flat down there, Matt. Works his way back up onto the racetrack. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field here, Garrett, Tom Bourne and Chuck Sweeting, again, still glued together. A 1/10 of a second that time by at the start-finish line between these two drivers. We expect to see them make it about 7 to 8 more laps until they have to come down to make the second pit stop of the night. Tom Bourne with a big wiggle out of turn number 1. Is that going to give Chuck Sweeting the run that he needs here down the backstretch? Does not look like it, as the number 75 stays tucked up right behind Bourne in that dirty air. I'm just a bit surprised Chuck Sweeting's not trying a slightly different line out there on the racetrack, maybe trying to get some clean air on the nose as Tom Bourne gets loose up out of the corner. This is going to be battle for the race lead. No, still, that 75 just cannot seem to get ahead. You know what, Garrett? That number 75. That 75 is a crafty driver. Do you think he's saving just a little bit of fuel to try and make it to lap number 51 here? Do you think maybe he's trying to eke out just that little bit more so he can try and win the stage when Tom Bourne comes down pit road?
Peter, you read my mind. That's twice in one night. We were both thinking about going to second base together, which is probably okay because we've known each other a long time. But I was just thinking that in my head. There's no reason, it seemed like to me, that the 75 did not have the momentum to make the pass on the 16 there. But I could be wrong, but I'm on the same page as you, Peter. I think our crafty veteran driver is saying, I'm okay with second place. I don't need to lead all the laps. I'm going to save fuel here running in the draft and let Tom Bourne be the one that breaks this air and uses up his fuel. Peter, I think we should go all in, all on black, like we're in Vegas, and see if this plays out the way we think. But as we say that, looks like he's looking to the inside. He wants the lead. So another wrong call here from the two guys in the booth.
Man, I thought we had this one figured out. I really did. But Chuck Sweeting, he might have this one figured out as he's finally able to clear Tom Bourne in the number 16. Bronson Stafford is actually holding pretty strong back there. Not sure if tires maybe at this point have equalized, but he's kind of staying just about 0.8 of a second behind the front two. Maybe the front two trying to stretch it just a little bit on fuel. Both of them maybe at this point. I'm not sure, but it does make me wonder if maybe earlier on when Chuck Sweeting was running behind Tom Bourne, he at one point really backed up turn number 1 and 2. I just kind of wondered why. Thought maybe he was saving his tires. I wonder if even then he was saving a little bit of fuel because he knew that the stage kind of would end on lap number 50. As Bronson Stafford has come down onto pit road. We know he can't make it to lap number 50. He was one of the early takers on pit road under the last cycle. So Stafford coming down to his pit box. Let's see if we can check in on him. There he is coming to his box. Let's see if we can find... well, sometimes I can't find the right camera. And there we go. That's the right camera that I wanted. As you see, Bill Edwards also coming down into his pit box. Good job by Stafford to hit his marks. Same thing with Bill Edwards, but out front, Chuck Sweeting. Now Chuck's kind of turned on the jets here. Garrett, he's up to about a 0.9 of a second lead, which I'm not going to say has me scratching my head. I just wonder if maybe Tom Bourne realized what Chuck was doing. Maybe he's listening to... Maybe we were right all along. I don't know. I like to think we're right all along. How about that, Garrett? We'll just say that.
Yeah, we deserve that, Peter. It's been a long career for both of us, either on track or in the booth here. We deserve to be right now and then. I'm going to call it as the league administrator. Peter and Garrett were right in this instance. Chuck was sandbagging a little bit, And if we get a chance, maybe we'll talk to these guys after the race and see if that was the case. But for right now, Peter, nobody can tell us we're wrong because nobody knows except the guys on track, and we can't talk to them right now.
Yeah, the only people who can tell us that we're wrong are the people in the chat. So if you're in the chat, let us know what you think. Are we right or are we wrong as we close in about 2 laps away now from the stage end? And now Chuck Sweeting's out to a 2.3 second lead. How quickly things turn. Now, here's my concern in all of this madness, Garrett. Tom Bourne is losing a ton of time. I think he's saving fuel to try and make it to the end of the stage. But Bronson Stafford just came down pit road. We know Bronson Stafford has made his bed. He has come down pit road on lap number 46. He's not going to make it to the end of the stage, but he's made his bed. He says, I'm going to go 100% consistently, as Tom Bourne is on pit road right now. So that might mean that Chuck Sweeting, sure enough, can win the stage, because the stage ends at the end of this lap. But does that mean that Chuck is going to come down pit road and still win the stage? He's got a 13-second advantage on Mike Tellier here. I think Chuck can come down pit road this time and still win the stage. I think he's got a big enough gap on this Canadian driver that's wiggling there off of turn number 2. We'll see whether or not Chuck stays out. Chuck does stay out. Bit of a surprise in my opinion, but he will win stage number 2 here tonight, Garrett. And well, I think we were right about Chuck Sweeting. The only thing I think we were wrong about was Tom Bourne. I think he waited too late to save enough fuel to make it to the end of the stage, and I kind of question that strategy if he was trying to save to make it, because he didn't.
Yeah, Peter, another thing we're kind of guessing at. We don't actually know if that was the case, but I think you're definitely spot on. And I think it also looks like Mike, Jamar, Vinny, they all took your advice, realized that they already got their stage points. They could come down pit road and not lose those stage points, and they took advantage. So we're going to see as this cycles back out that Bill Edwards and Tom, was it the 16 or 61 that was first to pit road, Peter? I can't. It was the 61, right?
61 was the first one on pit road, pitted on lap number 46. So, and interestingly enough, Sweeting goes 5 extra laps out there on the racetrack. That's pretty significant, coming down to his pit box right now, coming to that pit crew. Does a good job hitting his marks. He'll be down and away here shortly. But here's Bronson Stafford, who will be assuming the race lead as things cycle on out. You see, interestingly enough, I've been saying that a lot tonight, the gap between Bronson Stafford, who just got himself to the race lead, back to Tom Bourne is 8 seconds. 8. That's huge. As Tom Bourne, with those fresh tires... Oh, did I see some smoke there? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm just seeing things. As Tom Bourne comes up onto the racetrack, now, he pitted 2 laps before Chuck Sweeting, but interestingly enough, there's Chuck. Chuck did not lose a whole lot of time to Tom Bourne. Just going to look at pit times. No, I don't. Tom Bourne seemed to spend a little bit extra time on pit road. Maybe a little bit of a long stop, but a bit surprised here that Tom Bourne did not kind of leg it out on Chuck Sweeting. So I'll say this is advantage Chuck. The big problem is Chuck is 8 seconds behind Bronson Stafford right now.
Well, Peter, that short pit strategy is definitely playing into the 61's hands, and I'm just thinking, Peter, you're gonna have if it keeps going this way, you do the same thing towards the end of the race. You're gonna have about an 8-second lead to hold on to towards the end here. At some point, it feels like this is going to be advantage 61. Get that last pit stop out of the way, especially with the green flag run. So we'll have to keep an eye on the interval and how many laps to go when Bronson pits. But I like this short pitting strategy. I think that's definitely something that they could do to get a better finish. It looks like Jason Schue's off the pace, our series sponsor and good friend of mine. Let's see what happened to the number 3.
Well, I don't think we got that quite right. Let's see if we can get one more look at what happened to the number 3. Definitely off the pace. Oh, there might have been a little bit of contact there with 47. We might have to roll a little bit further back to actually see what happened there between the Tim Hortons and machine and the number 3. Here we go, coming out of turn number 2. And Jason gets loose. And, I think there was a little bit of netcode there, Garrett. I think Tellier was trying to duck underneath Jason after Jason got loose up off the corner, and unfortunately just kind of grabbed him.
Yeah, that's definitely not intent. Mike's coming up on a slower car. Jason's not trying to get in his way there, and like you said, Mike went to pull underneath, and it looked like the old netcode bug got them as we take a ride here in the 47 Tim Hortons machine of Mike Floppy Tellier. And you got Jason just lost all his momentum, and Mike, I guess you could say he misjudged it a little bit, Peter. It looks like actual contact, not netcode, but Mike wasn't trying to do that there. You don't want to get aero damage at a place like Michigan, so just a tough break. The closing speed and closing distance there between those two cars was just too much for Mike to be able to overcome and duck underneath.
Meanwhile, out there on the racetrack, we'll get one more 3-wide TV replay out of our system here. This was the battle for second position. As you see, Chuck Sweeting there, when we were back live, had gotten around the 16 of Bronson Stafford, or number 16 of Tom Bourne, as Bourne on the high side, Sweeting on the inside. Sweeting with a couple of lap fresher tires makes the pass look pretty darn easy, as maybe Bourne fought back just a little bit in turn number 3 and 4, but as you can see, 16 got a little bit loose there. Those older tires screaming at him for trying to race a car with slightly fresher tires, and you can see on the timing and scoring there on your left-hand side of your screen, as well as keeping an eye on the top of the screen for the last lap times between these drivers, that Chuck Sweeting is coming in a hurry. Last time by, he was a full second faster than Bronson Stafford. That is massive.
Peter, they just want me to be wrong. Every time I think, wow, that strategy the 61's on is going to be great towards the end of the race, it's not the case, and now Chuck's pretty much going to be past him here in a couple laps. So it's just one of those things here with racing and iRacing that you never know. Things could change in a moment's notice, and these guys end up just running different races within the race, and that's what we're seeing out there. And that's what these guys wanted, Peter. They wanted different strategy. They wanted to try some different things, and I think it's playing out to everyone's preference tonight, that they're able to kind of do their own thing, and we're going to see who has the best strategy by the end of the night, which is kind of perfect when you think about green flag racing.
Yeah, we'll see what the time difference this time by between Bronson Stafford and Chuck Sweeting is, as Bronson there fighting with Brandon Buchwald, who's trying to get back on the lead lap the old-fashioned way, the hard way, by getting past the race leader. And, Buchwald has every right to race with the number 61 to get himself onto the lead lap. Of course, would be in the lucky dog position if a caution flag was to come out. The bad news for a race leader is, again, that last time by Chuck Sweeting on the order of 8.5 tenths of a second faster. Starting to really mow into this this race lead. Of course, it is the Schue's Lawn Care Service Cup Series, so I got to use all those mow puns as much as possible. I got a new slogan down there at the bottom of the screen. You see, like mowing like Schue's Lawn Care. Well, maybe that's more right for Chuck Sweeting, because he's mowing like Schue's Lawn Care. As we're down to 31 laps to go. The big question is, when are we going to see these drivers on pit road for the final time, Garrett? We're not quite in the window right now where these drivers can make it the rest of the way, but they will be here in about 5 laps or so.
Peter, I don't want to be wrong again, so I'm not even going to answer that question. I don't know when they're coming to pit road. I feel like I'm married at this point, and I'm just wrong all the time. My wife is right, I'm wrong. I live by myself, which kind of still makes me wrong most of the time now that I think about what my other personalities, but that's neither here nor there. But we need another graphic, Peter, that somebody's mowing like Johnny Williams when they go through the grass on the front stretch. So if we could get that made for next week when Johnny's back, I would really appreciate that.
The Johnny Williams mow show. It's, whoa! Matt Muir, maybe not mowing, but might be drifting his way through turn number. Something's happened with our race leader, Bronson Stafford, off the pace down the backstretch. He's slowing, and just like that, new race leader Chuck Sweeting. I kind of saw that gap closing in a hurry. And the only thing I can think of is that Bronson Stafford might have had a big moment here coming off the corner. Here we go. Here is the replay. And yeah, that's a big moment pointing towards the inside wall. And that's going to give Chuck Sweeting the lead. I was just wondering if Bronson Stafford could maybe hold on just for a little while longer. He might be able to kind of, do something that come down pit road a little bit early and kind of swing the tide a little bit, but that is not going to help. Good handwork there out of the driver of the number 61 to
Wow,
at least
Peter.
keep
Wow.
it going in the right direction.
That had Robert Tripp written all over it, face going towards that inside wall, like he was gonna just ruin his race, and he did a good job hanging on to that. Just tremendous car control from Bronson at 61. But Chuck has set sail again out the front of the field, and we're gonna see how many of these guys come to pit road early and how many of these guys stretch it for the tire advantage. Looks like it is worth staying out there and getting the better tires because you're able to close the gap on these guys at short pit. But at this point, Peter, if you're Vincent Valvano or these guys running towards the back of the lead lap, do something different. You have nothing to lose.
Yeah, that number 64 kind of in his own zip code at this point. Jamar Dumas now about 8 seconds up the road from Vinny. Unfortunately for Vinny, seems like slid back just a little bit. I thought at one point he was going to have a top 5 starting spot, but qualified here in ninth. So running one spot behind where he was at the drop of the green. Jonathan Gaston, though, on pit road. Not sure if something's happened to him. Let's see if we can just get a quick look of Jonathan. He's been struggling. You see some right rear damage. Not sure if that damage is new or maybe just been kind of impacting the outside wall a couple times here tonight. Or not 100% sure, but go back live. Gaston on pit road in his number 72. We'll see if he makes it back out there onto the racetrack. Jason Schue 2 laps down. Brandon Buchwald still the only car 1 lap down, which is mighty impressive here, Garrett. We have been green flag, if you're just now joining us, since the drop of the green, right at the top of the show. But we still only have just one car 1 lap down, one car 2 laps down. And we're working lap number 65. But interesting to note, Garrett, this is the lap. This is the lap, I believe, when drivers will be able to make it the rest of the distance from this very point. So pit window will open this time, waiting to see if any of these drivers will kind of elect to come down pit road. Bronson Stafford would be, I believe, the first one to do so, as he has fallen off the back bumper of Chuck Sweeting. Does not do so this time. We'll keep our eyes on the Hugger Oranges machine. Matt Muir and Matt Rodriguez, the battle of the Mats, is now favoring Matthew Rodriguez by about 0.6 of a second. That's the closest battle out there on the racetrack, although Tom Bourne is still closing and gnawing away at Bronson Stafford. There is Tom, as both of them look like they got loose out of turn 2.
Yeah, these guys are having their hands full with the handling of these race cars, especially later in the run before pit stops. Every driver out there looks like he's pointed towards that inside wall off of every corner, and these guys are holding on to it, Peter, and not bringing out the yellow as we see Tom Bourne first the pit road here, Peter. Going to try this strategy and see if he can get a jump on Chuck Sweeting and Bronson Stafford. We'll see if it works out in his favor, but you have to hit your marks here, Peter. Don't be speeding and don't miss your box. We've seen it happen too many times here on 3Y TV.
Yeah, we'll get right on board here with the number 16 machine, last week's race winner at the Iowa Speedway, as he comes into his pit box right there through Jonathan Gaston. And, missed it. Had to back up. You have to think maybe him driving through the number 72 there just might have caught him off guard. Had to throw it in reverse to get into his pit box. That little mistake, it looked very benign, Garrett, but that little slip-up is going to cost him time.
Yeah, this is the money stop, Peter, as we always say and call it. You can't afford to have those mistakes, and shouldn't be too bad, but every second counts, and that might be the difference between being out front of the 75 when it matters and being a second behind. So we'll certainly see where he shuffles out. Can't say it's over and it's race-ending mistake, but it's certainly one you didn't want to have in that instance. So let's see who's next to pit road, Peter. Chuck Sweeting going to stay on another lap? Looks like it.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Bronson Stafford on pit road next time by. So not this lap, but I expect to see him down this very next lap. Now, the thing about Chuck Sweeting, Garrett, is I think back to Pocono, I think it was, the race that Philip Scott won. We really thought that Chuck Sweeting was in with a shot at getting the checkered flag at Pocono. He actually run down Philip Scott for the dub. And coming down to make that money stop, spun coming down onto pit road. Now, he was still able to recover, I think, for maybe a third or fourth place finish, but he made a mistake. It can happen to the best of us. It's happened to me multiple times, and you try and get everything you can get on pit road. Bronson Stafford, yes, he is coming down pit road. You see him peeling off onto the pit lane right now. Good job coming down onto pit road. Kind of left it a little bit late right there in front of the car that had just left pit lane, Tom Bourne. We'll see how Tom Bourne and Bronson Stafford cycle on through. Bill Edwards, Floppy Tellier also on pit road. Let's see if we can kind of dial up. You see Bill there at the top of your screen. Been a quiet night from Bill, but solid run for him as Stafford hits his box. Good job there, Bronson. See Bill Edwards right there. Is he going to get his box slid in a little bit? No, I think he had to back up there just a little bit. And that is going to hurt Bill. Might allow Mike Tellier to actually beat him off pit road. We'll see if that happens. Here you see Matthew Rodriguez down in his pit box. No, it looks like Bill still got a little bit of an advantage. I saw those left side tires pop up there before the 47, and I'm not sure what happened there on the left side of the Timmy's machine, but seemed like it was held for quite some time. Finally down and away. Chuck Sweeting in the 75 on pit road, locks up his tires a little bit. Looks like he found his pit stall nice and neatly, right side going on. But that will hand the race lead, at least momentarily, to the World Ninja League machine in the World Ninja League 180. If you're just now joining us, big shout out to this driver right here for sponsoring tonight's race. And I want to thank our other series sponsors, Danae Jewelers and Talkin' Giants and Stay Tuned Sports. Make sure you check out their podcast. We've got the NFC East mostly covered with myself, Cowboys fan, Stay Tuned Sports Jimbo being an Eagles fan, Garrett Gleason alongside me, and Vinny Valvano being the Giants reps. We just need the Washington Commander fan in the chat.
Good luck with that, Peter. I don't think Sam Howell is their quarterback this year. I don't think we're going to be seeing too many pop up, but you never know. I hope the whole division's competitive, and it would be nice maybe to have some representation there for the entire NFC East and get a good rivalry throughout our league. As far as maybe we could run some paint schemes or something like Vinny already has the Talking Giants. So we get Jimbo out here. We'll have a blast.
Well, I think we should do that. I think we should have a sports night here in TNR. I think that'd be kind of fun. Take your pick, whether you want an NFL car, or an NHL car. I mean, heck, even like a soccer team or an MLB car or something like that. We'll just do a sports night. I think that'd be a fun. We've done themed nights before here in TNR, Garrett. I think we should make that happen.
All right, absolutely. Instead of our throwback race, we could do a sports night. I think that'd be pretty cool, and we'll get some different schemes, and maybe some guys will do multiple sports, and it'll be a fun thing. So, yeah, Peter, that's a great idea you just had live on air, and I agree with it. And that's how we do things here at TNR. Somebody poses a good idea, and you say, "Yep, sounds good, great, let's do that," and we'll put it into action here. It'll be cool for all our sponsors and our drivers to participate in that. But speaking of participating, these guys are right on top of each other, just like pretty much they were for the beginning of the race, and part of the middle of the race, and now here coming towards the end of the race. They cannot get away from each other. And now if you're Chuck, you're not saving fuel, you're not running behind them, you're going to make this pass as quickly and as smoothly as you can if you're able to. But I don't expect Tom to pull over and let him have it. That's for sure, Peter.
Yeah, problem is Chuck Sweeting 4-lap fresher tires on the number 75. And we've seen how important tires matter here tonight. Bronson Stafford pitted 1 lap prior to Chuck Sweeting. As Chuck now with a run to the inside of the... Oh, no. Decided to duck back in. Thought he had a run on Tom, but at least not this time. Coming to 16 laps to go as the number 16 is our current race leader. Bronson Stafford also starting to close in just a little bit as we go on board. That number 16, there it goes. Battle for the race lead as they head off towards turn number 1. We just have to think those fresher tires are going to be the favorite thing. Garrett, what's that heart on the number 16? Is that on the normal contingencies, or the number 16 got a little heart on...
No, that's a normal contingency. That's Gigi's kids, because I work at the school. We did those paint schemes for the kids.
That's right. There was those paint schemes for the kids. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
And our buddy Bill added those to the contingency set, so that was pretty neat. Hopefully we get some more designs when school starts this year, but Peter, our whole school's under construction right now, and the project's way behind. And I don't even think they're gonna have some floors in the school when the school starts here in a couple weeks. So, yeah, might be a while before we get some more pay schemes from the children, if the children even have a classroom to go to. But
Bourne's in the wall. Bourne's in the wall. The number 16 just snagged the wall and entry into the corner, Garrett. And oh man, that is just absolute heartbreak for the number 16. We knew he's had some pit lane mishaps, but you just have to think this back half of the race has just not been kind for the driver, who I think will probably have led the most laps here tonight. That wall just came out and grabbed him right where that safer barrier starts at turn number 1.
Yeah, that's pretty much a race ender as far as his chance at the win without the yellow, and we certainly haven't seen the yellow without me in the field here tonight, Peter, but doing everything he can at number 16, trying to get every bit of speed out of this car and just get sucked into that wall. And once you're up there, Peter, and you can attest to this, it's hard to get off it and not lose as much momentum as I obviously don't want to lose any momentum, but you end up losing a lot more than you even think possible.
With Tom Bourne, good news, if you're a Tom Bourne fan, you find yourself 10 seconds in front of Philip Scott. That is the good news, and only 14 laps to go. We'll see if we can bring up maybe the lap time history for the last couple of laps. Philip Scott, of course, last time when Tom made that mistake, about 1.4 seconds faster. If he can maintain that, he would catch Tom Bourne. We'll see what it's like again this lap, just to see if Philip Scott has any opportunity to maybe make a podium. But it seems like Bourne here has stopped the bleeding down to just 0.4 of a second. So I know Philip Scott was one of the last drivers to come down pit road. In fact, I think only Brandon Buchwald was the only other driver to make to lap number 71, but I don't think there's enough time for Philip to make up that difference. So it looks like, unless we do get a caution, that our top 3 are pretty much set here tonight. So let's see if we can find some other battles in the field to kind of focus on. One of those battles is going to be between Bill Edwards and Philip Scott. We saw them both on, no, I was going to say both on pit road at the same time, but that's not true. Philip actually just made the pass a couple of laps ago and has been able to scoot away from Bill Edwards. Let's see if we can go back and catch the pass that finally gave Philip Scott the 4th position. Philip around the high side. We haven't seen too many passes on the high side, but sometimes they work out, Garrett, as they were side by side here off turn number 4. Bill had to back out of it just a little bit. Otherwise, he was going to run up into the side of Philip, and that gave that Dodge all the speed down the front stretch, all that momentum, and as you can see right there on entry, able to pull ahead, and didn't really look back here in turn number 1 and 2. So move Philip solidly up into the 4th position with that move, and Edwards got loose there up off the corner. That definitely kind of did in, fortunately for Bill. Meanwhile, back behind him, Matthew Rodriguez just passed Jamar. Nope, take that back. Jamar Dumas just passed Matthew Rodriguez for a position. A couple of the Texaco Haviland machines. Not sure if Matt's got any further damage, but doesn't seem like the 57 has had quite the pace the back half of the race, and I know we saw him catch the wall earlier on in the show, Garrett, and I was wondering if that's coming back to kind of haunt him.
Yeah, Matthew commits to that high line pretty much everywhere we're at, and he uses up every bit of the racetrack, and I think, like you said, he caught that wall probably multiple times tonight and has lost some speed in that number 57. And a lot of these guys, Peter, they have the pace. It's just without the yellow flag coming out for either the stage or an incident on track, you don't have the opportunity to get that damage fixed, get that aero back so you're not at a disadvantage. And that's kind of what you deal with, and you have to expect that coming into these TNR races anymore, that if you make a mistake, it's going to cost you for the entire race. And thinking otherwise, as Matthew gets sideways there again, is an absolute mistake. But Peter, going back to 99, Philip Scott sponsoring this race, home track, this is a disappointing run for that 99, 4th position. I talked to Philip earlier in the week. His heart was set on winning this race in front of the home crowd, the home track, and it's definitely disappointing. I don't know if he missed on speed a bit, Peter, or missed on strategy, but not the run the 99 was looking for.
Yeah, that number 99 is still a pretty big mountain to climb. He is still closing in on Tom Bourne, though. Garrett, I do have good news. A couple of people in the chat actually agreed with us for once. I mean,
yes.
we got the Windsors and Jake Ski 92 both agreeing with us. Thanks for tuning in here tonight, folks. We really appreciate it, and showing your support and actually agreeing with us. I mean, it seems like every time we say something, the chat disagrees, but that's what makes it fun, and us to be able to communicate back and forth. And we do appreciate all the messages that people shoot across. Jake Ski saying, G Money, miss you. Be back next week. Sounds
that's our buddy Bridesmaid. I'm assuming he's been gone defending our country, or at least pretending to defend our country. It looks like he's having a good time usually when he posts.
That's what he just said. He said he's done playing Army. So not sure he's actually doing Army. He's just playing Army. Meanwhile, we got a little bit of action out here on the racetrack. This is our good buddy Matthew Rodriguez and his number 57 Texaco Haviland Dodge. Here that he might have had kind of maybe trying to pull a Johnny there a little bit, or a Schue lawn care service, trying to trim up the front stretch a little bit, but I think that was kind of on his own accord too. I don't think he got loose. I think he just kind of drove down there and picked up some dirt.
That's our buddy there. He likes to put on a show. And here I'm thinking about lawnmowers, and I can't not think about King of the Hill and the loss of Johnny Hardwick, the voice of Dale Gribble. And I think I just watched the lawnmower race episode of that the other night, where Hank blew out one of his prosthetic butt cheeks, and had everybody was reaching to help him. And this is a tragic loss with the reboot of King of the Hill, one of our childhood favorites coming back. I'm kind of sad about that, but this is me going on a rant here at the end of the race. Not many battles on the racetrack. Just want to let everybody know where my head's at.
Yeah, it will be nice to go back to Arlen, Texas, but Arlen won't be quite the same. That's for sure. But yeah, I remember that episode fondly of Hank and the lawnmower race, and the prosthetic butt cheek that they had to fill with water or something like that. And good episode. The one thing I always liked about King of the Hill, and of course, some people don't like those types of cartoon shows, but I felt like every episode of King of the Hill had some type of moral to it, and you could watch that episode, and you could kind of take it at face value, but then you could kind of take a step back and go, wow, that episode had some morals behind it. Whatever craziness went on in the family of the Hills, there was always some type of moral going on, and I like that, and I can't wait for King of the Hill to be back on air, and the reboot happening. I think, is it on Hulu? Is that correct, Garrett? I can't recall.
Who would have thought, Peter, we'd get more episodes of King of the Hill before we got a new Grand Theft Auto video game, but let's not get into that either.
I saw a video or a picture today of some people in space saying, like, 1 hour on this planet is 7 years back home. They said, well, we might as well just wait here on this planet for the next GTA to come out. It'll be a couple of hours. So, yeah. Meanwhile, out there on the racetrack, Chuck Sweeting up to a 4-second lead. We've been focusing here on Philip Scott as he's trying to run down Tom Bourne. Looks like he's going to come up a couple of seconds short, unfortunately, at the end. Let's see what's going on here. This is Jamar Dumas trying to run down next car in front of him. That is Matt Weir. This is really going to be the best battle, in fact, the only battle for position here. So we got 3 laps to go. But, oh! Dumas there getting loose in the middle of the corner. He's still fighting to save it. As he gets up close to the eye. He's still fighting to save it. He's still fighting to save it. Holy smokes. Well, that was the only battle for position. Unfortunately for Jamar, the orange machine in front of him has disappeared off into the distance. But, good effort by Jamar to try and run down Matt Weir. He just gave it a little bit too much, I think.
Yeah, a little too much. Can't blame him there. Had the position right in front of him for the taking, and just couldn't get there in the number 28 Texaco Haviland machine. Peter, these guys, I think at the end of this race, when we interview our top 3 and we hear from guys on our Discord, I think they're going to say how on edge they were and how these things were probably fun to drive, but also they were probably sweating and a mess inside the cockpit. But you know who's not sweating? Our boy Chuck Sweeting here. pretty much drove away with this thing. We thought it was going to be a tight battle. These guys on different strategies. At the end of this thing, Peter, he's going to win by 4 or 5 seconds. So, Mr. Consistency, Chuck Sweeting, looks like he's going to do it again, Peter. I'll let you have the call.
And you know what, Garrett? I'm so glad that someone in a purple race suit can actually finish first, unlike someone else who runs in a purple race suit. As Chuck Sweeting comes across the line, checkered flag in the air here at Michigan International Speedway. Winner, winner, chicken dinner for the number 61 machine as Matthew Rodriguez. Something's happened with Matt. Did Matt just decide to wreck it on the front stretch? I think he did. It looks like he came across the start-finish line. He's mowing some grass, doing some Schue's lawn care service here for the fans. Not sure where Rodriguez actually finished. But comes up on the racetrack in front of one of the other drivers. But there is your race winner of the World Ninja League. 180 here tonight, Garrett. Flashed by. No caution flags here again. I think that's like the third or fourth race on 3Y TV that we've broadcasted with no cautions.
You gotta love that from a broadcasting point of view. I'm sure a lot of these guys would have liked to see at least 1 or 2 yellows out there, get a chance to fix their damage and do things, but that's racing for you. You can't always get what you want, but I think Chuck Sweeting got exactly what he wants here tonight, Peter. Going to find his way to victory lane. It's been a couple races since Chuck got to victory lane. I think he was even knocked out of a couple races in a row here. So good job by the 75 getting that momentum back, and certainly a contender for the championship, Peter. I mean, I'm stating the obvious there, but Chuck is doing a heck of a job out there, and we'll see what he has to say here in a couple of months.
Yeah, that we will. Doing a burnout here for the fans and doing some of that lawn mowing that we kind of expect to see out of some of these drivers. Let's get some of these folks lined up for our 3-wide TV interview here momentarily. Chuck Sweeting laying it on him. 4.8 or so seconds right there at the checkered flag. Now, I think he's lost, Garrett. I think he's lost. The victory lane's here on the front stretch, right out front. In fact, it's going to be right there at the bottom of your screen. He just passed by it. He's lost. He doesn't know where it is. He's just going to pull into some rando pit stall and disappear. Although there is some Gatorade recharge station or something up there at the top of the screen. I don't know. All right, let's see if we can dial up tonight's third place finisher. That is, of course, driver of the number 16 machine. Definitely was not exactly where he wanted to end up, but Tom Bourne had a good run, all things considered, and continues that hot streak after winning last week at Iowa. Tom Bourne, Peter Short, 3-wide TV booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, that number 16 was a fast hot rod here tonight. Definitely a couple of strategy calls played out there in the middle of the race. Definitely made things interesting from our neck of the woods. But I think if you probably looked back, you probably feel like you could have played this one a little bit different. Tell us about it.
Yeah, definitely. First off, hats off to Chuck. I don't know what he was doing different. After the race, he said he was driving in a little easier and stuff like that. And when he was behind me, I guess I was driving it easier than him into the corner because he just closed on me. But hats off to him. The calls. I wish we didn't short pit on that last run, especially with Chuck and Bronson coming down maybe 3-4 laps after me. I feel like newer tires as actually overcutting would definitely be the strategy move, and it showed that it was.
Well, nonetheless, a good run for you, continuing that momentum, like I had mentioned from that win last week at the Iowa Speedway. Definitely nothing to be all too bummed about, but we go from this race at Michigan to, well, kind of another older racetrack. Hopefully we'll soon return to the NASCAR schedule, Rockingham Speedway. What are your thoughts to go into the Rock?
Not too excited for it. I haven't raced Rockingham in a while, especially never in this car. I've got a few teammates that have ran this car at Rockingham. I can probably pull a few pointers off them. But, yeah, Rockingham's kind of a wash for me, honestly. If I can leave with a top 5 with, the skill gap the skills in this league from drivers like Phillip, Chuck, Bronson. That'll be a good day. But yeah, just survive the rock is all I'm going for.
Yeah, it was slippery out here tonight. Expected to be slippery at the Rockingham next week. Tom, how was it driving out there here tonight? Kind of want to hear from your point of view because it definitely seemed like it caught out a couple of people throughout the race.
Uh, it was good for about 2 laps. And I feel like those 2 laps you could either gain or really gain on somebody. But other than that, it was like on ice skates half the time. Or better yet, walking on ice with just regular sneakers on. It would just get snappy loose every chance it got if you put too much throttle into it. But I guess that's just a common theme for these cars with all the horsepower. But it was it was a handful to drive. My wrist is definitely hurting from gripping the wheel so hard to not spin it out. I almost lost it a couple times on that, I think, second to last run. I know Bronson had his hands full all race long. He was talking about it, and hopefully there's a little more grip next week because this was not fun at all.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I know some people like it like that, and I know some people want a little bit more grip underneath them. But nonetheless, you come away with a strong third place finish. And Tom, before we let you go, any shout outs you like to give out?
Yeah, you guys putting on a broadcast week in, week out. You always do a great job. Always love rewatching them and going from there. Sky Motorsports for putting together another very fast race car. It seems like we've got this speedway/super speedway thing down for the season. So, hats off to them. Always putting the best cars on track. Shout out to Chuck for winning. I really don't know what else I can say about that performance. He was just 10 times better. Ghost Energy being on the car every race. Reaper Apparel Company, they're a new, going to be on the car soon. They've really stepped up with stuff. And just Garrett for having me back. I know it's been a while since I've been in Great Lakes, and yeah, and my beautiful fiance, Melissa, she's always watching, my number one fan. If you can't tell, I'm a little exhausted from this race. But yeah, and everybody watching, really. They really make this league thrive.
Well, Tom, congratulations on a third place. Always great to hear those shout outs and get to hear a little bit of the backstory behind what goes into each of these races and the individuals around you. But we'll see you again next week at The Rock.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be talking to you guys next week too.
All right, well, that's going to do it with tonight's third place finisher, Tom Bourne. I believe that Garrett Gleason has caught up with Bronson Stafford.
Oh man, Bronson, Garrett here up in the booth. Sounds like your teammate there is exhausted after this 90-lap race at Michigan. Are you feeling the same way out there? Had your hands full?
Yeah, the car was rough tonight. It was a lot.
So that being said, Mike asked me earlier in the week for a longer race, some more fuel in the car, maybe a little different pit strategy. It seemed like you took that to heart and we're on a bit different of a strategy than these other guys with your short pitting. You think that was ultimately the difference of you not being able to win this race, or you just maybe didn't have anything for Chuck to begin with?
I got worse every run. Every time I pit, the tires, everything felt worse. It's just, I don't know. I was really fast after the way we do the fuel in this league is so strange for me because like I don't take off as quick as other people, and I'm always quicker at the end of the run because I was really, really fast after 20 laps, but we only got 24 to 26 on fuel, so like kind of useless at that point. And I don't know, just every run I kind of got worse and worse. I think as the track rubbered up, I just like couldn't run the lines I wanted. Dirty air became like an issue, and it's just trying something different with the wins already on the season and just trying to get more or whatnot. His pace was there right at the end of the first run. I was starting to reel him back in and then pit, and same with the second run. And so it was there. It just kind of, I don't know. I got to do better on switching from long run to like a more short mid run kind of pace. I don't know what I have to change. It's just one of those things with how we do not full fuel tanks and whatnot. It just it hurts me at some tracks more than others, and I think that was kind of the thing tonight.
Well, it's certainly something I'm going to take into consideration about the full fuel tanks, especially with these green flag runs and Mike asking me to extend the races. So I'll certainly talk to him and our other administrators about that. But hopefully
I think
next.
it's good. I think it's great for the season in the car and the lap count. It's just like me personally, it hurts.
Well, I'm open to taking a bribe. If you want to send something my way, I'll put whatever fuel mileage you want. We'll make it happen. But you certainly don't need my help. You've shown all season long that you've had speed. Heading to Rockingham next week. Definitely a tough track to drive from my experience there. How do you like the Rock? Are you competitive there? You think you'll be getting interviewed again as a top 3 finisher?
I don't know. I've been good at that track once, and it wasn't even on iRacing. It was NR 2003, so I don't have much hope, but we've been quick every week. Ended the top 5 streak last week because just didn't get the yellow we needed to throw on the tires and go win the race. But we're back in the top 3 this week, so I think we have speed everywhere every week, and eventually, if we don't, we at least find it and try to get the top 5s out of it. So Rockingham's a fun track. It's tough, but you'll probably see Philip be a little bit quicker there than he was tonight. I think he was a little bit off. 12 seconds behind Chuck on the win is not normal for Philip. Normally he's up there with me, Chuck, and Tom, like all through and through. So I'm sure he'll be up there again next week. And then if Canizaro shows up and stuff too. So should be pretty competitive overall, regardless.
Yeah, let's not tell Canizaro there's a race next week. We'll keep him out of here. But congratulations on your second place finish. Before I let you go rest and maybe celebrate with your teammates, if you'd like to give any shout outs, the floor is yours.
Yeah, just the team in general, Sky Sports and stuff. We have speed every week with me, Tom, and even like Mike and stuff has his speed. Mir's getting better every week. Matt Rod was here tonight and stuff, so just looking good overall. Just would have been nice to get one of us in victory lane, but just ended up short. Obviously, you guys for doing broadcasts and putting the league together and all that. It's a lot of fun to have a decent group of guys and go caution free week after week.
Yeah, it's awesome to have all you guys here, and I look forward to seeing what you can do next week at the Rock. Maybe you could keep Philip Scott out of victory lane. Looks like he might be the favorite according to some people, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, maybe. Thanks, guys.
Take it easy, Bronson. I'm going to throw it down to Peter Short, who's having a bit of a reunion with his good friend Chuck Sweeting, who just finds victory lane time and time again, Peter.
Well, if you throw it back 5 years ago to July 9th, 2018, here at this racetrack, before there was 3-Wide TV, there was 3-Wide Racing League. And we had the Race Kings Cup Series, and my memory was correct. In that particular race, a certain driver named Chuck Sweeting went to victory lane that day over me by saving fuel. I think we saw some fuel saving out of Chuck Sweeting again at Michigan Speedway here tonight, Chuck. A brilliant win for you. This racetrack, I raced with you a couple times at this racetrack, and I know this is one track that you just so happen to be really good at. I looked at your 3-Wide Racing career. You had 2 wins here at this track in that league, and you're back in victory lane here tonight. And that one race that you did beat me in 5 years ago, you beat me by 9 seconds. You laid it on the field. You did that again here tonight. Tell us about it.
Yeah, that was. I remember that race. That was pretty interesting. Yeah, I had to save in that first run. I got it behind Tom, and I didn't want to push it. I was trying to save some fuel, and as I just stayed behind him, I realized that the more I saved my tires like that, the better it was on the long run. And then, so for the rest of the race, it kind of gave me a bit of an advantage, it seemed like. But yeah, I had to get to that lap 50 stage mark too. So I was saving that first run and the second run, and then kind of let it go the last half of the race.
Well, you definitely did an excellent job figuring it all out, kind of playing your cards just right. Freshest tires there at the end. I know I've been there myself when you have the freshest tires and you have clean air on the nose and you're the race leader and you're just kind of seeing it out. But the car looked like a handful for a lot of the drivers here tonight. You might have felt comfortable up front, but it still seemed like a handful, and you kind of had to stay on top of it. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was a handful that, particularly towards the end of that first run, Tom was really, really fast first half of the run, and Bronson was really fast the second half of the run. But I, I don't know. It was really a strange kind of setup. It seemed like it was really tight on entries some laps, but other laps it would turn in fine, and so you had to take care of the right front, otherwise it'd get kind of snappy loose on the exit. And once I realized that, then it wasn't as much of a handful from that point on, because I didn't ever overheat that right rear tire. So it allowed me to just be faster overall. Maybe not on the short run, but after a few laps, I kept that. As long as I kept that right rear cooled off, then the thing would fly down there around those corners. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we saw some drifting out there at 160 miles an hour from some of the drivers. It definitely looked like a handful. But we go from Michigan to another racetrack that we expect to be a handful. That is Rockingham Speedway, still kind of keeping this throwback vibe going on. The 1 mile racetrack known as The Rock. What are your thoughts going to that track?
I love that track. It's so much fun. I'm not particularly good there. I mean, I'm decent, but I wouldn't say I'm good. I don't think I've won too many races there over the years, but it's a lot of fun. It's bumpy. It's like riding a roller coaster. Turn 2 wall comes up really quick. You can get loose and spin out, or you can just push right up into that wall. It's an odd shaped track, because the front stretch is kind of got a dog leg, but kind of not. It's just different. I don't know. It's nice to run on a different track rather than the typical cookie cutter quad ovals or whatever they call them. So it should be a lot of fun. We'll have to see what the setup's like. It could be a lot of cautions in that race, so we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I think the fun thing about Rockingham is there's only one corner you don't have to worry about the wall, and I think that's turn number 3. But I've seen people impact the wall in turn 1, turn 2, and turn 4 many, many times. It's definitely going to be an interesting one next week to see it all shake out. But a strong run for you, Chuck. Of course, we're moving on towards the kind of the chase for the championship. You put yourself in a pretty good position after tonight's win, but definitely looking strong. Before I let you go, you got any shout outs you'd like to give out?
Yeah, I want to thank just the league in general for putting on an awesome show week in and week out. I know it's a lot of work. I want to thank Jason Schue for Schue's Lawn Service, and World Ninja League for sponsoring the race and the series. It's thanks to people like that we get to have these broadcasts, and we get to have these awesome races with some awesome competition out there on the track. So appreciate all the work and all the effort everybody puts in.
Yeah, definitely a lot of work that goes into putting these things all together. But Chuck, we appreciate you appreciating everyone on the TNR side. So that's what makes these things work all so well. Best of luck next week at Rockingham, Chuck. Congrats again.
All right, thanks a lot. Y'all have a great night.
All right, well, that's Chuck Sweeting, again, putting a licking on the field at Michigan. I have been on the receiving end of that twice. He got 2 wins in the 3-wide racing league back in the day, and at this racetrack, and both of those I got top 5s in, but it was a combined total of like 30 seconds behind the guy. The guy is really fast here. But Garrett, fun night here at Michigan. Great racing, green flag all the way from the beginning of the race to the checkered flag. And again, these TNR drivers really know how to put on a show.
Yeah, they certainly do, Peter. And it's great to see a green flag race from start to finish. Obviously, you'd like the intervals a little bit closer, but that's what Rockingham next week is for. Some short track racing. These guys will be nose to tail pretty much all night long. And I'm certainly looking forward to calling that one with you. It's a track that I've grown to love in my old age, Peter. I never liked racing there when we used to go there in NR 2003, but after I wrecked the field in our first TNR trip there in the iRacing realm, I've certainly grown to like that place. So I look forward to that as we close up tonight's race.
Yeah, we do want to go through the final race results for everyone back at home. Taking the win, Chuck Sweeting by 4.8 seconds over Bronson Stafford. Tom Bourne coming home in second, 7.9 seconds back. Philip Scott, the World Ninja League driver in the World Ninja League machine in the World Ninja League 180, finishing in fourth. Bill Edwards in fifth in the number 5 machine. He probably should have been driven the number 1 machine because then he would have finished first. Isn't that how that works? Floppy Tellier finishing in 6th. Matt Moyer in 7th in the 77 machine. Jamar Dumas in 8th. Vincent Valvano in 9th. Matt Rodriguez rounding out our top 10 as he really struggled that back half of the race. Brandon Buchwald 11th. 12th place for Jason Schue, 3 laps down. Jonathan Gaston, not sure what happened to Jonathan. He kind of had some damage on the car. We did see that. Extended stay on pit road, finishing 21 laps down. We do know that he kind of had some on and offs of pit road, but I think he might have finished the race. Robert Tripp, though unable to finish the race after some heavy contact with the inside wall off of turn number 2 on lap number 16 here tonight. And of course, Garrett Gleason alongside me in the booth did not start. But Garrett, great race here tonight. Looking forward to what we have on hand next week at Rockingham Speedway. As always, great racetrack. And I know we got kind of some series sponsors to thank, so let's hear them.
Yeah, let's thank you to everyone. Obviously, Jason Schue, Shue's Lawn Care, Stay Tuned Sports, Danae Jewelers, Talkin' Giants, Tabletop Trio, 3Y TV, Peter, everyone that puts their time in from a fan to a driver to a league administrator to everyone that contributes to TNR. These guys all thank us for putting the work in. Peter, the work is done. Like, the work is done throughout the week, the year, by these guys, these sponsors, and the people that support us. They make us look really good by constantly giving us the support we need. So thank you to everyone who's contributed in any way and tune in. And I can't wait for next week.
Yeah, definitely cannot wait for next week here on 3Y TV. But folks, until then, stay safe and all of that good stuff. And we shall see ya!